Hello, everyone. Everyone's here that's come to arrive, and we have many people on Zoom. So this is the regular meeting of the Reading City of Reading Planning Commission. It has been delayed by a week because of some technical difficulties, but I'm glad to see that everyone was able to make it today. I am Wayne Beeler. I am the chairman. Danny DeCoilo is here in the room with me, and online we have Nelson DeLeon.
Will is on.
Will is on. Is James on? Okay, but we do have Nelson, Will, Danny, and myself, so that does make a quorum, so we can conduct business and continue with the agenda. First item on the agenda is to accept the planning commission meeting agenda. Are there any changes from the last version that was sent out? So hearing none, do I hear a motion to accept the planning commission agenda? Danny? Second? Okay, thank you, Nelson. Okay. Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Opposed? Hearing none? Unanimous? Okay, and we have an agenda. And first on the agenda, we have Goggleworks 2, the Helping Harvest Annex, preliminary/final plan review located at 243 Washington Street. And I will hand it over to Jerome for the update.
Okay. This plan was reviewed on January 15, 2023. This is a preliminary/final plan review. This would be for the Helping Harvest Annex phases 1 and 2. Although we'll be focusing more on phase 1. As you may recall, this was submitted as a sketch plan and a presentation was provided. So we will be able to dot the i's and cross the t's as we move forward. As I mentioned, the plan has been accepted as a preliminary/final plan containing 4 plan sheets. Phase 1 will include the demolition of the existing residential building at 243 Washington Street. And it will also provide space for a modifications and an elevator for the 5-story commercial building at 229 Washington Street. Phase 2 will include the revitalization and expansion of the existing 5-story commercial building in order to support Helping Harvest. And then phase 3 will be a latter phase, which would then focus on the upper floors of the building in order to provide possible adaptive reuse through residential redevelopment. As I mentioned, this plan will have involve 2 parcels of land, 229 Washington Street and 243 Washington Street. So the 2 plans in essence would then be separate, but they should be joined in common deed as a result of this project. That can be easily accomplished at this phase. Along with the submission of an annex with the annexation, the common deed description would be provided, and then the deed would then be recorded at the time the plan's approved. There was some comments with regards to site accessibility, parking, and loading, all of which will be addressed in parts of phases 1 and 2. Phase 1 and 2 do not include any additional off-street parking or public spaces. This will eventually be considered as part of phase 3 of the project. The existing curbs and sidewalks and handicap ramps along Washington Street will also need to be considered as part of this phase. One thing to note that there was the vacation of Thorn Street which abuts this property as well. And I believe you have it referenced on the plan. Yeah. I believe you have a reference on the plan. I talked to Tim Kroll earlier about that, and we just want to make sure that that's properly referenced.
Okay, we'll take care of it.
In terms of fire and rescue, we had asked that the applicant at least submit this phase of the plan as well as the future phase when it gets to that point, in order to determine that there is safe and adequate safety provisions for fire retention and service to the site. The site is connected to the sanitary sewer system at this phase. I don't think we're going to be worried about sanitary sewer flows, but when we get to phase 2 and the helping harvest component, Public Works is probably going to want to see an evaluation of what the flows are in compatible sense to the previous use and current use. And then, of course, when we get to phase 3, then a planning module will more than likely be required, since it's going to be adding residential to the mix. But I think we should start to address that now, and with Public Works, and make the determination when the planning module will be required. We asked that a variety of notes be placed on the plan, and we get Berks County Planning Commission. Did any of you folks get the Berks County Planning Commission review?
I did not see a copy.
That's one thing we're going to have to wait on. All the other items, there will be no municipal improvements agreement or stormwater management agreement required at this phase. We had also asked that as this project progresses, that architectural plans and renderings be provided and shared with the planning commission. That concludes the review.
We were talking about, was that 257 Washington? 245 Washington Street, and is that the property next to the house that will be demolished?
Yes.
Okay. As I mentioned, the best route for that is to talk to Heather Shearing. She does a lot of the research for these things, and will be able to help you with that. Because as I mentioned when I was walking away, part of the concern is that property does seem to be that property seems to need some help. So if our city, Reading or Gobbleworks could take that, I'm sure that then all the problems would be resolved. So that's my only comment at this moment. Tim, do you have anything?
No, I think Jerome went over it pretty well. I think the concern for Public Works is going to be access to the site. As Jerome mentioned, that Thorn Street has been vacated, so it doesn't exist anymore as a street. But Stone Alley, even though it says alley, it is a street. It does exist. It is a city street, and I guess you intend to use that for your access. And I'm just curious to see how, with deliveries and the use without Thorn Street to use it as access, how the access and the traffic flow will progress through the site.
If you look at the site, and a number of years ago, we addressed this with your office, Tim. They actually gave us, when we purchased the building from Godwell Truck Center and we separated the deeds, Mark in your office,
Mark
they
Connolly.
actually designated, yes, thank you. They actually designated this with a Walnut Street address, because the Thorn Alley Street on Walnut Street is still a viable means of ingress and egress along with Stone Alley. So you basically have that L-shaped entrance to the site from two different locations, which will basically service any fire trucks, deliveries, incoming traffic. They would use the same entrance that the Dogworks Art Center uses off of Walnut Street, to come right down to the site, or come in off of Third Street on Stone Alley. So they've already kind of addressed this and said, okay, that, you know, that keeps it as a viable means of ingress and egress.
What would be the other means besides Stone Alley?
The upper side of Thorn Street, the city vacated Thorn Street as a through street, but it still comes down to building number 6 of the Gogglworks Art Center. So that road still exists as it might be considered a private drive now, but it's
Yes,
still a drive lane that
right.
we still have use for.
Well, you say
Walnut
we, but you're Our City Reading or you're Goggleworks?
Yes.
You're both.
Both.
Okay. Because the plan we're reviewing right now says that it's Our City Reading, and Our City Reading does not abut Thorn Street, or the driveway that is now, I don't know what the driveway is called, but you're right, it would be Thorn Driveway or something. Goggleworks driveway. Yes. Yes.
So,
It says Thorn Street now, but I guess it's more of a driveway. And I would
yes,
imagine
that's correct.
it would stay that way.
Here we have Stone, Little Thorn Street or sorry, where we at, Scott? Here's Stone, this is Thorn, and it's vacated. See this or not? Do you have this on the computer?
Do you have, can you pull up the site plan,
This one?
the actual site plan? Not, I have it on
I have it.
okay,
It's just a matter of getting.
Yeah, I only gave it the thumb drive, but that's my drawing, so if you get rid of that thumb drive.
yeah, I have. It should have been included, we
Yeah.
did provide when we submitted,
But did you? Okay.
yeah, so I thought I brought an extra just in case.
I think the map that
It
Emily
might
had
not
up there
open,
was,
it's too big.
yeah, the map, Emily, that you had there looked pretty good. I mean, it demonstrated what my concern is.
Right, because Thorn Street, where Stone Alley and Thorn Street intersect,
Yes,
everything north on Thorn Street is open, all the way to Walnut.
right. And it's owned by the Goggleworks. So I guess what I'm saying
Yes.
is I understand, and that's good. I'm glad to hear that. It sounds like you've got a plan and it's been for a while, but I guess since you've got two different owners, there would be some sort of cross easement or some access agreement or something like that that would need to be
I
presented.
am sure we can get that in writing if we need to. That's where Jim comes into play, because he's the man with like 18 different hats that can kind of
Right,
put everything
Okay.
in one room and sign the document, so.
right. And yeah, and right. And Scott, if you need any information on the vacation of Thorn Street, there was a map that went along with it. So the property lines are a little funky down there with the Gogglework Artist property, you know, the one at 229 Washington Street. So it's a little different than the way you showed it on the plan, but I can forward some information. If you want to send me an email, I can show you what that looks like now, but that was vacated. So it is I don't think it was recorded. I haven't seen it at the Berks County Recorder of Deeds, but it is an official vacation.
I'll email you tomorrow morning then.
Okay. And like I said, I think Jerome went over everything else.
Speed table.
So, okay, very good. Do we have any comments by the commissioners?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is Will. I figured for years that Goggleworks would want to demolish that property, so I'm not surprised. Obviously, it was built when the street was at a lower level. But I see there's a grocer's alley shared between 243 and 245, which may not be usable anymore because of the higher street level now. And it looks like the property line, looks like the 243 overlaps the property line, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that works in a situation like that, but I would hope that for the structural integrity, that could be maintained to make sure there's no adverse effect to 245 in any way. And then my other concern, I would point out 245, whatever problems there are, it's a much better conserved architectural specimen. It's an attractive looking building. The other thought I have, of course, as I usually do, is conservation of any historical details. I see the dormer on 243 is pedimented. It matches that at 245. I would ask the Artifacts Bank, the Center Avenue Artifacts Bank, to see if they're interested in that, or if there's anything in the inside worthy of conservation. It could be anything from flooring to staircase details, anything historic. They might be interested before there's any demolition if they haven't already taken a look at it. I would just highly encourage that. And I think that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Nelson?
If anything, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Danny? No? As was mentioned, we did have this in a workshop meeting, and we did discuss this for quite a while. And discussed a lot of the details at that time. I think that's why no one really has any questions today. So with that, because we do not have the Berks County Planning Commission comments, we will need to table this. Do I hear a motion to table? Danny?
I'll second.
Okay, and Will second. Okay, question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Very good. Please keep in touch with all the staff, but there seems to be no hangups on this because we did have the sketch plan before us, and I think it was over an hour, right? That we discussed this. So thank you very much. We always appreciate you coming in. And if you have any questions of the commission.
No, thank you very much for your time and your consideration.
Okay, thank you very much, and we will move on to the next step. Okay, next on the agenda, Mercedes South change of use, preliminary final land development plan for 108 South Fifth Street. And I will hand this over to, Jerome to explain what's going on.
Okay, this is the 108 South Fifth Street Land Development Plan. This is the change of use. We previously reviewed this plan, and the applicant has taken care of quite a lot. And this review is now dated January 15th, 2024, in which the only remaining comments that we have of substance are that a summary note of some sort should be provided on the plan indicating or outlining the tenants or uses that are occupying the building. This should be coordinated with the zoning office, as well as the zoning permit that would be issued for the site. So it could be, those two things could be worked out together. I believe did we get the Berks County Planning Commission review on this? We got the Berks County Planning Commission review on this. And the only other matters are there are no municipal improvements with this project, and there are no stormwater management improvements. And that should conclude the review. The certification of ownership and accuracy would need to be completed. But it seems that just the note would be the only thing that'd be required for the plan, so the plan is suitable for approval.
Yeah, I think last time we were just basically waiting on the First County Planning Commission, and I think one other minor item which seems to have been taken care of, since this is much shorter letter.
This is Joan London. I'm here on Zoom for the applicant. We're asking for preliminary final plan approval. We have no problem with the note. We've provided to the city the list of occupants, square footage, and uses, all of which could be put on the plan as a plan note and checked with the city zoning office. We believe all of them are appropriate by right uses in the CC district.
Yes. Okay, any comments, Tim?
Yeah, the only thing I would add, well, prior to this, we had done some research on planning modules and sewer capacity, and we determined that based on the occupancy currently and the use currently, we took measured water meters, which they water meter records, which they provide, and we determined that the flow, the proposed flow is going to be under 2 EDUs, which would mean that it does not require any additional sewer planning for approval. That's because it's already assumed 1 EDU, and you cannot exceed 2 EDUs without planning modules. So since this is going to be under 2 EDUs, planning modules wouldn't be necessary. So the only thing I ask for is to put a summary note of that to that effect on the plan, so that anyone in the future that would wonder or would inquire about that would have an explanation. And if that could be just added as a note, as we've done on other plans, similar plans.
That's fine. We can add that as a note.
Very good. Yeah, that's all the comments I have.
All right, anything on this one, Michelle?
I just wanted to clarify, Jerome, under our process, we don't need a waiver to go from preliminary final. Or do we need?
No, we do not. There's no waiver that's required. It would be a plan exempt from standard procedure. That will be a good question on number 12.
Okay. I'll make myself a note, but I just wanted to clarify that was if there was any action required on a waiver, but there's no waiver, no action. But I have nothing else then.
Okay. Very good. Anything from the commissioners on this one? Okay, hearing none, do I hear a motion to approve the conditionally approve the preliminary final land development plan of the Mercedes South change of use located at 108 South Fifth Street, with provision that the applicant meets all of the requirements as presented on the Hawk Valley Associates review dated January 15th, 2024. Yeah. Okay, second.
Second.
Okay, thank you, Nelson. Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Whoops. And hearing none, we are once again unanimous, and this will move forward with the minor.
I'd like to make a comment on that, the motion that you guys had passed. You stated Mercedes South, the actual ownership in the original application, the name is Mercedes South Fifth Street, spelled out LLC. So just if you would please correct the minutes, or
Okay.
so that reflects the appropriate name of the applicant. And I had a second question. It's relating to the fees that we had paid, the $3,000 application fee and the $6,000 escrow fee. Is there like a bring down of how those fees were consumed? I mean, the application fee is pretty self-explanatory, but I was a little confused as to where the consumption of the escrow check that we provided and how that was going to be utilized.
Yes, this is Emily from the zoning office, Mr. Yarnell, so whenever we get invoices for reviews and things like that, that is where the escrow goes. At the end of everything, we do a final accounting, you will get a final breakdown, and then any monies that are left over will be refunded.
Okay. And just so for clarification, we have to get with our architect to put the two notes that you guys put as conditions based on your motion and passing of the sewer and the notification or the notation about the usage.
tenants. Yeah.
Yeah, the tenants. And
Yes,
then
so
we,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
then we should resubmit them to the zoning office for recording, correct?
Yes, once you have those plans, finalized, you can just forward them to me. I believe, Joan, you have my email.
I do,
So you'll
yes.
just forward them. You'll forward them to me. I'll forward them for signatures, since there's no agreements or anything that would hold it up. And then, I will, once I get all the signatures, it'll be sent back to you to record at the county. And then we just need, proof of recording.
Okay, that's your process. That's fine.
Very good, thank you.
Just make sure, when you get those plans in, that they're within the 90 days. Because if it's past the 90 days, then we have to reaffirm the plan before we can release them to you. So this, as quickly as possible, that way we don't have to run into that.
Understood, thank you.
Okay.
Anything else on this one? All right, very good. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. And
All
I'm
right,
sure
thank
this
you.
will move smoothly ahead now.
Excellent.
And be quickly taken care of and recorded.
We will,
Thank you.
yes. Okay, thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
You too, thank you.
Good night.
Okay,
Thanks, everybody.
next
Good
we
night.
have. Good night. Next on the agenda, we have the Avasipo Familia. Change of use of preliminary final land development plan located at 936 North 8th Street. And I will turn this over to Jerome for the explanation, since this is, I believe, the first time we're looking at this.
Yes, this is the change of use plan that was submitted to the zoning office, and the zoning office denied it as a result that there's two uses on the property, and I'll get to that in a minute. Our review is dated January 15, 2024. Project, as I mentioned, is the conversion of a one-family attached dwelling. It's going to be utilized for a retail space, a small retail space in the front, as well as the residential use. My understanding, by the same family, owned and operated by the same family. This is located in the CN zoning district, and I was informed that this use is permitted by right within the CN zoning district. So my comment number 3 is basically goes away. Since this is a change of use, we were interested in the layout of the property, and if there were any architectural plans or renderings or floor plans, it would be nice to see them. We were not sure exactly how much of the building will be occupied by retail space versus residential. So, I mean, it'll ultimately be reviewed as part of building and trades, but this is going to be something I think we should take a look at first. We're not sure exactly how much of a retail area we're talking about. If there is lighting that's going to be proposed for this project, we had asked that it would be shown into comply. I don't think that would be the case, but if it is, to be proposed, we would want to make sure that it complies. There's not much room for landscaping improvements to mitigate any improvements, but we wanted to give the applicant the opportunity to handle that. There will be required an area for solid waste disposal, since this is going to be a part of the property will be utilized for a commercial space, and they will need to comply with that requirement. With regards to site accessibility, parking and loading, it's my understanding parking is in the rear. There is a garage that was there, has now been removed and eliminated. So the parking is not going to be an issue with this property as long as the zoning office does not have any objections. The existing curbs and sidewalks are in fair condition. This does have a small frontage along Northeast Street. The development will be served by sanitary sewer, and gauging upon the size of the retail area, I'm not even sure if there's going to be any public facilities to be utilized in this by this retail use, but you need to verify that before we approve the plan. Fire and rescue, although it's not, again, it's a small project, we need to weigh in and evaluate and make sure that it's acceptable. We had also asked that a few notes be added to the plan. If there are going to be no improvements, the municipal improvements agreement will not be required. However, there are municipal improvements to facilitate additional parking or the curbs and sidewalks. Then we would need a small projects agreement. We've now confirmed that there will probably be no increase in impervious surface, so there'll be no stormwater management plan required, which we just confirmed. And that should conclude our review. We're not sure also if the Berks County Planning Commission did review this plan on January 9th. And that should conclude our review. The applicant has provided a number of responses to not only myself, but also the zoning office. Emily, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, so I did go, because I had helped this applicant for quite a while before they submitted for planning commission. So I went back on some of my notes. The reason for demolishing the garage was to allow for a second parking space. With the garage, it was only a 1-car garage. And so with that, that satisfied the parking requirement for the addition of the retail space. As far as the impervious coverage, where the garage is where they're gonna have the 2 parking spaces. I think he said they might have to fix the concrete or something like that, and I told them they would need to stripe it. That's all they're gonna need to do. So the impervious coverage, they're not creating any extra. It was already there.
Any comments on this one, Tim?
Yeah, just a couple. And I think Jerome pretty much said it there. There was item number 13 talked about stormwater management. It really, Dan, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, it looks like the, let's call it the converted impervious area for the parking. It looks like it's under 1,000 square feet. Right now, our ordinance doesn't state that, but it will here later this year when we do the amendments, and we've been pretty much going on that. If it's under 1,000 square feet of new or converted impervious area that would not apply to the stormwater management ordinance. It's basically a de minimis threshold.
You're muted, Dan.
Dan, you're muted.
How's
You have
that?
in front of-
Yeah, we can hear you
You
now.
hear me?
Yeah, Dan.
My
Pat.
tablet said I needed an update and it wouldn't update. So I got my wife's tablet here. So bear with me. Anyways, you're talking about the impervious, Tim.
Yes, it's just the backyard there. It looks like it's fairly well under 1,000 square feet.
and it is brick and it's not, it's laid loose, so it's semi-pervious.
Okay,
So, you know, it's a hard surface. It's similar to the brick sidewalks that
Good,
you see.
good. Well, we always
in the city.
encourage infiltration. That's good to hear. Okay, so
Yeah.
I think that'll take care of that. The other one is on the planning modules. You responded in an email that the additional, the commercial would not add any. Now, is there any lavatories or sinks or any you know, toilet rooms or anything like that in the commercial?
No, my understanding is they're going to take a small portion of the front portion of the house,
Oh,
and they're going to partition that off, and it's just going to be a counter, and people are going to come in and buy what is it, a hookah bar or you know, I don't know what it's some kind of tobacco product that they're
Okay.
selling, and they're not going to have any facilities. It's just a walk in and purchase and walk out.
Okay,
type of
that's fine.
service.
So like the previous land development plan, if you could put a note on the plan and just simply state that for future reference, that since there's
Okay.
a commercial plus a residential, that the total will be less than 2 EDUs and therefore would not require any additional sewer planning, something to that effect. If you could just add
I
that note,
can do
that
that.
would take care of the sewer. And that would take care of all my comments.
Anything on this one, Michelle?
I have nothing regarding planning.
Okay. Anything from the commissioners?
No,
Mr.
Mr.
Chair,
Chairman.
this is Will. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I don't have any comments.
Oh, okay. Well, my concern was addressed there, so with the semi-pervious nature of the driveway, because I was wondering where the water would flow, because with the parking challenges in this city, people are often cementing their backyards, and they don't always give a thought for where the water goes. So I'm glad that was addressed here. That was it.
And so my only concern was just taking a look, and I understand that these are not these are not building plans, but oh, it's on here, it's on there. Permit. On what's shown by whoever drew the zoning review here. There's no indication of the required 2-hour separation between the commercial space and the residential space. That's not really for us to address, but that will be something that Buildings and Trades will be looking at,
And fire.
and fire. Because there has to be at least a 2-hour separation, and it's showing that there's a door there. That door has to be 2-hour steel framed. But I just ask that that this is not overlooked as you move on in the process, because the next thing will be submitting the plans to Buildings and Trades.
Confirming, and my comment was no planning commission comments, but that was my thought, was that there may be other fire code requirements as part of this mixed use. So I think there was a recommendation on this one to attend one stop. I would definitely try to attend a one stop.
Okay, is there anything else from the applicant on this one?
As far as landscaping, we might be able to squeeze a little landscaping in on the south of the driveway there between the other residential property, because I think we have 20 feet and parking spaces have to be 9, so we could squeeze a little bit in there. That would make that a little better. Yeah, Jerome had said about lighting. There's a deck in the back, and we could probably put a wall pack on there that would shine out. I can put a photometrics on that, and that would take care of the lighting. And they're gonna be living there, so it's something that they can monitor.
Just use downlighting,
What's that?
use downlighting,
Downlighting,
point it down. Yeah, point it down.
okay. And solid waste, I don't think this is gonna develop that much solid waste. I would say he can handle it at the curb like his residential waste.
Wasn't a lot of information to go on.
I'll have to
Commercial
check.
property. The commercial properties in the city normally require you to register that you have a dumpster. And that you have a company that does your recycling. And it can't be and it cannot be a resident, and it can't be part of the residential pickup plan. So in other words, the same company that probably picks up their trash now, which is Republic, will not be able to do it anymore. They will have to have a commercial hauler do it.
Do they have to certify that they have a dumpster? You know, how do they handle that? What do you say?
There's actually an application with the solid waste department.
Okay,
And that needs to be filled out and sent into the solid waste department to prove that you have a commercial carrier picking up for a commercial space.
And if you want to send me an email, that'll go to Steve Harity. I don't know if you know Steve, but I can forward that on to him and he can then address that with you.
can you email me that application, Tim?
He can. So if you send me an email, I will forward that over to Steve and I'll, have him.
Okay,
I'll have him provide that for you.
okay, that'll be great.
Anything else on this plan? Is this plan ready for approval, Jerome?
Yes.
Okay. With that, do I hear a motion to conditionally approve the change of use plan for the Avasibo Familia preliminary final land development at 936 North 8th Street, with the provision that all the comments that the applicant fulfills all the comments of the review letter of Hawk Valley Associates dated January 15th, 2024.
So move.
Thank you, Nelson. Second, Danny? Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Very good. This is ready to move forward. Thank you very much, Dan, as always.
Thank you.
And we will move on to our next plan, which is the Duca Properties Apartments, the preliminary final land development plan for development at 1125 Moss Street, which includes up to retail use and 55 residential apartments. And I'll turn it over to Jerome for the update.
Yes, this is an adaptive reuse project that's going to be the conversion of a retail use to 55 residential apartment units. 1125 Moss Street and 1144 Moss Street go together. 1125 is the building with the residential uses. 1144 is the parking component of the property. We've reviewed both plans in the past, but let's focus on 1125 first. The plan's been revised, as I had mentioned. We had asked previously if the applicant could provide any architectural renderings, floor plans, and building elevations. They did supply that information as part of their zoning permit application and special exception application. But if there was any further advances, we would like to see them. If not, they'll be definitely provided as part of the zoning and building permits when they are submitted. With respects to the curbs, sidewalks, and driveways, they did provide the curbs and sidewalks along Wall Street. And forgive me, I never do the capitalization of letters, but somehow I guess that got stuck in there. But the planning commission is gonna, and in conjunction with Public Works, is gonna have to make a determination whether or not sidewalks should be provided along North Mill Street. There are no curbs or sidewalks being proposed along that segment. It is proposed between 1125 and 1144. So that's something that would need further discussion on. The off-street parking, as I mentioned, is taken care of not only internally within the building at 1125 Mott Street, it's also taken care of at 1144 across the street. The landscaping plan has been submitted, and we had asked our certified arborist to make sure that that is acceptable. The lighting plan has been submitted. They have used down lighting for the facility, and it appears that it will be on the building facade. That is the recommendation. The proposed use is going to be served by the sanitary sewer system. This project will require a planning module, and I'm not sure how far that has gone, but we'll need to come back to that specific issue. Fire and rescue will need to again make sure that the plans are acceptable to them in terms of site accessibility, as well as the infrastructure that's provided to support fire protection for this property. The plan was reviewed by the Berks County Planning Commission on December 22nd, 2023. The municipal improvements agreement and stormwater management agreement will be tied with 1144 Mott Street, since that's where the exterior improvements will be. The two things I think that I warrant discussion are curbs and sidewalks along North Mill Street, which that's part of actually 1144 Mott Street, and then the sanitary sewer, which requires a planning module.
Is there someone here for the applicant on this plan?
Well, there's myself, the applicant, and then there's Brent Zer, the architect, and then there's Larry Garbowski from C2C Design.
And have the planning module application for the planning modules, has an application for the planning modules been submitted?
For sewer, no.
Right.
But we
This is
started that
Larry.
process.
Oh, go ahead.
Larry.
Go ahead, Chris.
Go ahead, Larry.
Yeah, all counties working on that. I know they've been in conversations with Tim Kroll, so I don't know what point they are with the submission. So I'll follow up and get back.
Okay, very good. And okay, any comments, Tim?
Yeah, and Larry, as soon as you get that back from the DEP, you can send that over to me and we'll process like we've done in the past. Since this is in the city, of course, it's going to need a resolution and all that kind of stuff. So sooner you get it to me, then the sooner we can get that rolling on our end. And that's for the planning modules. Sidewalks. North Mill Street is an alley. And I don't remember the city installing or required installing sidewalks on a 20-foot wide alley. I guess we'll have to take a look at that. Yeah, there are some. Yeah, there are some blocks that North Mill Street is actually a street, but not here. It's an alley. So I'm guessing we're going to be recommending no sidewalks on North Mill Street since it's an alley, and it would probably hinder traffic. And I'm not sure that we really need it if it's an alley. I don't think that would be required by zoning.
I wasn't aware of that, Tim, so if it is an alley, we do not need curbs or sidewalks.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Mr. Chairman?
Go
If I
ahead.
may
Will.
jump- Hey, if I may jump in, it fits right in there. If you recall, this came up with the fire station on the
Yes,
the next block with North Mill Street, and I think we did not require, I think I remember asking you about it, we did not require sidewalks there.
right.
That's the
I
city
do-
property.
I do remember it. Hmm.
Yeah.
Chair, does that require a waiver?
No,
No, it's not applicable.
I was under the assumption. it was a road.
Yeah,
And-
I
Good.
think the 900 block is, the 9 and 1000 block is a street, but starting the 1100 block, it's an alley.
Yeah, I'd have to look at the map. It's something like that, right? It's very odd.
Should it be noted on the plan that it's not applicable, or is it not necessary even to do so?
I think it would be a good idea to simply note that this block of North Mill Street is in fact an alley. Just, again, for anyone who's reviewing this in the future, that kind of note is pretty helpful.
I would agree. I think that's a great recommendation.
And the only other comment I have is I do highly recommend that both of these properties, 1125 Moss and 1144 Moss, be combined because they're really for the same purpose, and it would make sense to do that.
If they are not, I like the idea of having an agreement that 1144 is parking for 1125 that's recorded.
That would be on the zoning permit as well. The zoning permit for the apartments would be contingent on them having that parking lot. If they were at any point to lose that parking lot, they would lose their zoning for the apartments.
Are you requiring combination of the lots as Tim's
No.
recommending? I think that's a recommendation, and I also am a belt suspender, so.
Yeah,
If it's part of zoning, I'd also make it.
it's not required by zoning, but also, if you wanna make it a condition, you can make annex those two.
I think it needs to be some sort of legal agreement.
Yes.
Because they can't be annexed to each other because there's streets running in between.
Technically can, if there's a street in between, they can be on the same deed as one property.
Number 12 has that.
Separate parcels.
That there's also a property like that up on Trooper Road, that up going into the mountain. There's a property like that where it's one parcel, but it's separated by the street.
The parking agreements.
Yep. The city has properties like that too.
This plan will have to be tabled because of the planning module and a few of the other issues. The planning module is the biggest of those issues. And I'm thinking that a time extension is going to be warranted. If we go beyond this, since we are dealing with a preliminary / final plan.
Larry usually takes care of the extensions, is that correct?
We're fine this month, and I doubt. Well, strange things happen. I doubt the planning module will be approved by next month.
Yes.
So if we don't think we're gonna be able to approve by the February meeting, we need to have a time extension.
I would think so. I mean, if not, I mean, they could always bring that time extension next month.
Right, but I mean, yeah, be prepared that if we don't have comments back from DEP, to submit a time extension.
All right, any other comments from the commissioners? Okay, any comments from the applicant?
No.
Very good. With that, do I hear a motion to table the Duca Properties Apartments at 1125 Moss Street? Dan?
I'll move the
Second.
table it.
Okay. Will? Seconds? Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, very good. We have it tabled, and as we mentioned, if you do not receive the DEP comments before the next meeting, please send us in writing a request for extension, for review extension. You only need to submit the letter. You do not need to attend the meeting if there are no revisions to the plan.
Roger that.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
So my name is Jamie Bias. I'm a Reading Council liaison. I do apologize for my ignorance in advance. I was hoping that somebody would be able to provide me with some background to the board and what you guys do. I've been sitting here for a while. I'm just like, if I don't jump in and ask, I'm going to continue to be confused and not informed. So,
Okay. I'll very quickly. There's a section of the city code, it's 515.
Yes.
Section 515 of the city code is the subdivision and land development ordinance. And it is the job of the planning commission to review plans according to the subdivision and land development ordinance and make sure that everything that is approved is in compliance with that section of the city code. As part of that, we also rely on the stormwater management code, which is section 505 of the city ordinance, which is what Tim Kroll from Public Works is basically in charge of. And we also rely on the zoning ordinance, which is section 600.
Yes.
Yeah, section 600 of the city code. The planning commission is also in charge of actually reviewing, updating, and revising the zoning code. Zoning hearing board is not allowed to do that. That provision is given to us by the Pennsylvania Municipalities Code.
As well as reviewing and commenting and updating the land development ordinance.
Yes. And any questions like that, Jerome from Hawk Valley will be glad to answer any questions via email.
Yeah, if you're our liaison, we send out the review letters to everyone, but I mean, we would be happy to add you onto our list. Thank you. And that way we get lots of stuff.
yes.
Yes,
But you're,
usually someone from city council doesn't attend these meetings, so we are glad that you are here.
And the amendments you spoke about, this body does the initial review and commenting them, and then they come before council in accordance with, as chairman referenced, the municipalities planning code actually be the final approval. And the municipalities planning code is the state statute that grants all this authority to the municipalities and ultimately to planning. The city is elected to grant this authority to the planning commission. Some smaller jurisdictions, they have a planning commission that does a review, and the governing body, e.g. the board of supervisors, does the final approval because of the amount of work that's involved in the city, because they grant the authority to this commission. And I'm Michelle Mayfield. I serve as special counsel to the city, including counsel to the planning commission.
Thank you. So, and then any other questions that you may have, I will be glad to stay after the meeting and you can ask any questions that you may have. I am Wayne Beeler, I am the chairman, and I have been here for 17 years. So I know a little bit about what's going.
And I would offer, what's the finest approval is, as we go through these projects, if you have any, some of them, this is the first time they've seen them, some of them, they're coming back. There's a time period that was mentioned that we had to take action or give time extensions, that's why sometimes they come back, depending on what the project is, but please feel free to ask questions about each individual project.
And when a project's just submitted, we generally spend a lot more time on it, and if it's a bigger application, like Mitsubishi Chemical, where we have, as well as also with GoggleWorks, we ask that they come in with a sketch plan, which is an informal discussion.
We do that during our workshop.
Yeah, which is on the third Tuesday of the month.
So, but welcome, and thanks for having the interest.
Yeah.
Glad to see.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, this is like a first, because like I said, I've been here 17 years, and the only time I think I've only seen council members here maybe 5 times in 17 years.
So sorry about that. You only see
more than me. So welcome. Thank you very much. So we tabled number 7. Do we need to table number 8, or did we approve that already?
Number 8 was approved at our meeting with conditions, and those conditions have not all been met yet, so that's going to be, as I mentioned earlier, Duca Properties, the residential component, 1125, and then the parking component, 1144, need to be approved simultaneously. So,
okay,
there's too many things that
yeah,
are dependent upon each other.
right. But with the sidewalk question on the alley taken care of, I think that.
So since it was approved, there's no action.
Okay, great. Very good. With that, unless someone has something else on the Duke properties for this time around, we will move on. I want to thank C2C, Mr. Posh, and I believe Mr. Zur is on this project also. We thank you for attending.
Roger that. Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have the Reading School District, Hampton Park Reservoir Field preliminary and final land development plan located at 1001 Hampton Boulevard. And I'll turn it over to Jerome for the update.
Okay, as you recall, this plan was approved by the Planning Commission on December 19, 2023, subject to conditions. It submitted a revised plan to address those conditions. And the one thing I just want to bring about is the stormwater management plan was reviewed by my office, and then also Public Works Department, and they've determined that the stormwater management comments have been resolved by the applicant. So other than that, all the other conditions of approval are relevant to the municipal improvements agreement and stormwater management maintenance agreement. So this seems to be the only 2 documents that are remaining. I did not hear anything back with any objections from the fire and rescue department. And yeah, everything else is ready for approval.
Okay, great.
Do we have a cost estimate?
Yes.
Circulate back tomorrow, make sure I have it.
And since the municipal improvements agreement and the stormwater management agreement are usually handled by staff, we can go ahead with with an approval on this.
I was sorry, yeah, that was approved, part of your approval.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I was giving you an update.
Yeah.
Of where everything stands, and I usually do that when they submit something revised, in case you're wondered what's going on with that project. This is just an update.
Okay, great. Yeah, so many things going on. Sometimes I forget what we approve and what we don't approve.
Yeah, so no actions required on this.
Okay, very good. Any any comments on this one, Tim? I saw something about the reinforcement of the wall or something.
Yeah, there was some discussion
Has that
about
been
the, yeah, there was some discussion about the retaining wall, but really the retaining wall doesn't have anything to do with the stormwater or a best management practice or the stormwater management ordinance. It does handle some stormwater, but it's not really part of the, any kind of compliance related to the ordinance. So it's more of a building permit issue. It is a retaining wall that is greater than 4 feet. So they'll need to get a building permit for that, but that's pretty normal stuff. And they'll coordinate that during the construction permitting phase. It's not something that needs to be approved by the planning commission.
Already submitted.
Very good.
Fantastic. Great, and we already approved this, so there is no action on this. Does any commissioner have questions on this one?
I do, Mr. Chairman. Actually, it's not exactly directly related to the reservoir, but closely related. Is anyone here for the school district president? Because I know the next item is the softball field. If anyone can answer my question.
Oh, we're going down to the softball field next.
Well, I mean, the question I have is about the comfort station, because when I went to look at this site for the reservoir, I noticed it was boarded up. It had fallen into disrepair. It was a concern for the school district and the city. When I stood with the board, we did approve to fix it up. It was in danger of collapsing and injuring somebody. Not the whole thing, but the roof. And it was an eyesore, and so we approved that, and our successors completed that project. And there was some plan to make it accessible again. And I think there are facilities in the reservoir, right? But this is still it's a city property, and I was just wondering if there's any plan. Was there anything done to restore that as a comfort station? I don't know if there's any plans for that. That's really what I was wondering about.
I can answer that question. So several years ago, there was a requirement for the roof repair. It was painted along with the pavilion to the west of the comfort station. So we have made all the exterior improvements that were required. At this point, the district has not made a decision to utilize the comfort station facilities. And that certainly does need them to have renovations if that would occur. But we did make all the required necessary improvements that we were asked to do.
Right. Yes, and it looked great, and it's definitely safer, and it had a light and everything. But I was surprised to see the board there now, so I just was wondering what the plan was going forward. Well, I look forward to seeing something in the future, perhaps. Thank you for answering that.
Very good. Then we will move on to the Reading School District Hamden Park Reservoir Field preliminary final land development plan. Softball field improvements. Preliminary land development plan located at 1331 Greenwich Street.
Located in close proximity to the other project. This is a dedicated area that's utilized for softball as well as other sporting events or multi-purpose events. What the school district would like to do is install dugouts as well as site accessibility to the dugouts as well as the field itself. So we took all that into consideration. We did attend a one-stop session before the city, and I'd like to give them the opportunity now to provide a brief presentation on what their goals and objectives are with this project.
Sure. Okay. Hi, Jamie Lynch from Dewey Engineering. We're doing the design for the Reading School District for these improvements to the softball field, which include, just as Jerome said, two prefabricated dugout structures, also some accessible sidewalk to both of those dugouts. And then also the re-turfing of the synthetic field that's on that site. So those details have been submitted on the drawings that are provided. There's some ancillary activities for improving some fencing and the netting that's around the site, and some electric work. We've received the comment letter from Jerome's office, which includes the requirement for comments from the Conservation District and also from the county. So we need those letters. So I anticipate we would table action on this evening. Another comment related to stormwater improvement plans, and we've done the calculations to suggest that we are in that de minimis amount of additional impervious that would alleviate the requirement for stormwater management. In the future, we've noted future improvements at this site, which may include adding synthetic turf to the infield of the softball field, but that is not included at this time. We're just replacing synthetic turf in kind that's up there now, and also relocating where an existing portable bleacher stand sits. So that's the nature of the project. Want to add anything else?
Yeah, and I think the main focus of this is to add softball dugouts. But one thing I think the district has, we're proud to say that we do try to follow all the requirements relative to Title IX. And certainly as we are evaluating our properties and our playing fields, we identified that the girls softball team does not have current safety areas like the dugout in the event of inclement weather, as the boys did at George Field. So this does address that concern and ensure that both our boys and girls teams are treated equally and fairly. And then in addition to that, the additional concrete pathways do allow for ADA accessibility for spectators to participate and have access to the grounds, including not only space for the portable bleachers, but along the fence between the dugouts, they'll be able to stand and have access to that. So we're pleased to be able to make these improvements to the district.
As I mentioned, we did do the review on January 17th. The site is located in the Preservation Zoning District. The use is permitted by right. And we had asked that some additional notes be added to the plan. The plan has not been reviewed by the Berks County Planning Commission as of yet. So we just have a few cleanup items to accomplish, and should be in good shape next month.
And agreements are required.
Stormwater management as well as municipal improvements.
Any comments on this one too?
Actually, I did have a chance to look over it quickly, and I think I agree with the engineer that it looks like the proposed impervious would be less than that de minimis. It would be good to see a calculation. So if you could send me a note or something demonstrating that, that would be helpful as far as determining whether or not any stormwater management is agreeable. And in this
Thank you,
case,
Tim. We anticipated that comment, and the calc was done today, so we'll be emailing it over to your office.
oh, very
Thank
good.
you.
Right. And in this case here, I would not, I'm tempted to recommend that you put in impervious in, pavers and things, but at the same time, you want it to be ADA accessible. And unfortunately, sometimes those two don't collaborate very well. Pavers and wheelchairs and walkers and things just don't seem to get along. So are you proposing this to be normal concrete pavement for the accessibility?
Yes, we are, Tim.
Yeah, okay, I'm agreeing with that. And is there any sewer use associated with this? Is there any toilets or sinks or anything like that?
No sewer use in the dugouts, Tim. Thank you.
Very good. That's what I need. That's what I needed. Well, the boys had won it then too, So, okay, thank you.
I would like to make a comment that we appreciate you that you've been working with us since at least the STEM high school project. And you know our procedures and basically what we ask for, and we do appreciate that you're thinking ahead on many of these things. We had we used to have many problems where people wouldn't think ahead, or they would think that they could just ignore stuff. And that is certainly not the case with the team that the school district has put together for these projects. And it's really great to see.
Thank you. We appreciate everyone's help. It takes a village. In this case, it takes a city. Everybody that's online and here has been helpful in matters associated with the planning commission, but also in getting projects done. So on behalf of the Reading Area School District, we appreciate the cooperation as well. It's been good for some of these larger projects that we've been doing. So thank you all very much, and
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
I'd like to associate myself with your comments and agree, and it makes a huge difference. So thank you.
Thank you.
So, we hope that things on 9th and Windsor are going well with the school. I noticed some concrete work going up and some reinforced.
Does the planning commission have the ability to control the weather?
Oh, I'm sure the rain's throwing you off this month.
You're gonna have to go to city council for that.
Yeah.
They'll probably table it, right?
That's why he stepped down.
Going well. Had some challenges associated with the weather and with construction. But the gravity of that project and what we had to go through. So far so good. Have a good group working on it, but lots of hard work ahead still. Really waiting. I see the concrete, but we'd really like to see that thing really go skyward. With some structural steel.
Right. Any other comments for the Reading School District projects?
Mr. Chairman, well, I concur with your comments and Will's comments, and also I'd like to congratulate the school district for the investment they're making in the city. It's good to see that. New projects and rates. Keep it going.
And Sierra, I think we need a motion to take. Okay, do I hear a motion to table the Reading School District softball field improvements preliminary final land development plan?
So move.
A second.
Nelson. Okay. Seconded by Will. Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, very good. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
See you next month.
We'll see you next month. Okay, next on the agenda, we have the Burn Street Car Wash revised final land development plan.
Yes, this plan was approved by the planning commission previously. It was last approved on December 19th, 2023, regarding the revised plan, which is now the consolidation of what was previously lots 1 and 2. And we are just have stormwater management issues still to provide. They just submitted the calculations that have been requested, so we would probably have a better feel for this next month. Once everything is resolved, plan can be released for recording. Two major things also are the municipal improvements agreement and stormwater management maintenance agreement. So we expect to have, cross our fingers, everything in place next month. But like I said, we just received the stormwater management calculations.
Any comments on this one, Tim?
Just a comment, just a question for Boja. Is there an NPDS permit? Remind me on this. I should know this, but is there an NPDS permit for this?
Yes, we already have it approved.
Okay, I thought so. Yeah, I wasn't, I get them. There's so many of them. I was just a little confused there. That's the only question I have then. There was a, Greg, there was a request for waivers for the groundwater and the water quality. And I'm not sure why that's being submitted because we typically concede to the DEP's requirements and criteria when there's an NPDS permit, especially one where you have the MRC. So I guess my question is, what was the purpose of the waiver if we're using the NPDS and DEP?
For us, it's standard when we look at the requirements out of the 505, 125.
Yeah.
That, we weren't in compliance. So as part of just our regular process and trying to conform with Jerome's group, that we just submit the formal request. If the planning commission says that's not required and, that disappears off our comment letter, we're happy to take it off.
Okay, that'll be my recommendation then, and I think I made this before when it was originally approved, that since there is an NPDS, they have an NPDS approval, which meant that they already met the Chapter 102 state requirements for post-construction stormwater management, that the city automatically waives or concedes to the state's requirements, and therefore any of the groundwater and water quality, et cetera, requirements in the city's stormwater management ordinance would not be applicable. So I would recommend we wouldn't need to act on the waiver.
Tim, I would recommend that you, Michael, and Greg just coordinate the remaining issues so we don't have to come back for next month.
Yeah,
Or,
sure.
or try to resolve as best as we can.
Yeah.
All of this.
Yeah, again, I was just briefly reviewing it, so I haven't really dug into this. Are there any major changes to the stormwater management, the post-construction stormwater management facilities that would need to be revised, a revision to the NPDS permit?
We're checking because we didn't really need to put in the entire basin at this point. So the goal was to just reduce the size of it. But other than that, it's the same approach as what they'd already approved. So we're just going through with them for, like a minor type of amendment.
Okay.
But we already have the overall NPDS. So, they could always start construction and then get that as it goes.
So you say you have applied for an amendment to the permit based on this change?
We did, because we think that's the right thing to do. But at the same time, we already have the NPDS and we certainly could go ahead and open up the ground.
Yeah, you have the NPDS, but it's based on the way it was originally submitted. Now you've changed it. Is it still an MRC?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, so it's really just a lot smaller amount of work that to really occur. It's not larger.
Yeah, we'd like to see the approval. And I guess Jerome's correct. I guess we need to see what was changed to make sure that the change is minor. If there was a significant change, I think I would recommend then that we make sure that the state is satisfied with the amendment. And then we can proceed from there.
Okay, the applicant on this case, I know that time is pretty much of the essence for him. And I know we're looking to gain the final approval with Planning Commission with signatures.
Right. No, I understand. I just want to make sure that the change is not significant and would affect the permit.
Yeah, anything else is probably going to, put things very difficult situations.
I know I have draft agreements when there were two projects. Do we have an updated cost estimate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, the estimate, I think Joan London had forwarded over the other agreements for agreement with you, Michelle. And I think she's looking for those to move forward.
If anything else changes what this plan did, it would have to be revised again, but so far we're okay.
Okay. And I just want to make sure.
But let's wait to see what the outcome of that means.
Okay.
Jerome, like to just go ahead and I'll try to set up either a Teams or a Zoom, say with you, Tim and Michael.
Yes.
To work through this because we certainly would like to make sure it's very clean for the next month.
Yes, let's make that a goal.
Thanks.
Joe, are we good with time?
It's approved.
Oh, okay.
We approved it
We
in
just need to
December.
require information possibly.
Possibly it goes beyond February.
And as always, Greg, once the agreements are completed and ready to sign, just let Emily know. She sends off an email and I usually come in the next morning and sign them right away.
Okay.
So there should be no hold up with that, since, you know, I do live quite close to City Hall. It's no problem for me to get down here and sign those for you.
Thank you, Tim. Or Wayne, rather.
No problem. All right,
Sorry.
any other comments on this? All right, with that, we will move on to the next one, which is
Have a good night.
thanks, Greg. Have a great night.
You too.
With that, we move on to the Mitsubishi Chemical Preliminary Land Development Plan at 2120 Fairmont Avenue. And I will turn it over to Jerome for the update.
Yeah, this is quite a project, and it's something we're gonna have to. The applicant did attend a planning commission meeting, which was brought in as a sketch plan application, which was extremely helpful. It's not easy to navigate yourself around this plan if you're not familiar with it. So I mean, that sketch plan application helped out quite a bit. This project will be a manufacturing facility. It's located on parcels A, B, and G of the applicant's property, which is owned by not different owners, but under a different under names that are in common, I guess, with the common facility.
Correct.
It might be called, when the parts of the project were purchased, that it was probably called one thing versus other areas. So if you look at the site, it's not the easiest. It's in two separate areas. Parcels A and B, I believe, or I'm sorry, B and G. All right, we'll get to that. Part of the project is going to be used for a 39,000 square foot manufacturing facility, 39,785 square. And then part of it will be utilized for a parking facility to offset the spaces that they are losing as a result of this project. There is an alley, which a 14-foot wide public alley, which traverses the site, and I wanted to make sure that Tim was aware of that as well. And
Yes.
It bisects parcels B and G.
Mhm.
It'll be annexed to I believe G.
Well, it'll all be one deed.
Okay,
So
yeah, that's what was coming up next. So parcels B and G, and then also the alley would all be joined in common deed.
Correct.
As a result of this project. The parking area is located on on another part of the project, but all the uses are permitted by right within the MC or the manufacturing commercial zoning district. So that helps out quite a bit. The zoning hearing board granted zoning relief for this project through zoning hearing board appeal 2023-26. On this project, and that was, and the reason being that the variance was granted was for the off-street parking being more than 500 feet away from this facility.
and we exceeded the amount of the purpose for this for the tract as well.
Moving on with our review, we had requested that a landscaping plan and lighting plan be submitted. Solid waste management plan, of course, would also be required. We had a variety of stormwater management, site accessibility and parking requirements that are that can be resolved. It was just a matter of, we just want to make sure that all these issues be handled. None of which I see as being significant or require a zoning variance. The applicant has also provided curbs and sidewalks. There was one specific note, I guess, that we had early discussions with on the curbs and sidewalk. They are being provided along Belmont. Street that it's not going to be located on is sorry, Belmont is the one that's not, does not include the curbs and sidewalks.
Yeah.
The other two, Walton as well as Fairmont will have curbs and sidewalks.
Yeah, if you can go to the composite drawing on the left-hand side over there. That shows the two sites in relationship to each other with the street names and everything. I think that might be a good reference. The brown building that's shown in between the two is the extent of the existing building that's currently on site. So you can see how the two are interrelated to each other. And the expansion of the parking was basically just flipping from where we're putting the proposed building to mirroring what's there now in the front near Belmont Avenue. And between Belmont and Fairmont, right off the Crescent.
And with this drawing, you can also see the underlying perk that are associated with this project. I think that there's 9 or 10.
It's like Legos, yes.
We had also mentioned about the project will be served by sanitary sewer facilities, and more than likely a planning module will be required for this project to be considered. The fire and rescue department will need to review this plan as well. Stormwater management plan has been submitted, and the comments we had issued would, I think, be considered all encompassing at this stage, and I'm not sure if there's anything that cannot be resolved.
No, we had an opportunity to review the letter, and I think you just need to go down the list to make sure that we do the punch list of everything that you're going to be looking for. I do have a question for Michelle. We had proposed a blanket easement for the stormwater management facilities on the for the proposed building. We have an above ground basin, we have an underground stormwater basin as well. And we were going to provide a blanket easement for the property versus anything with variance distances.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, that's fine. Just wanted to make sure.
The erosion sedimentation control plan would also need to be approved as part of this project. Going through the rest of the comments, I don't think we got the county's review yet.
No, we did.
Yeah, we did.
Yep.
We did, good.
I think we just got them yesterday.
We just got it like 1:30 today.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Okay, cool. There will be a municipal improvements agreement, a stormwater management maintenance agreement. And I think the applicant can handle, you probably have a lot of questions regarding to the how the project's going to be orientated on the property, as well as how the parking interrelates with everything, but that was addressed by the zoning group.
I do have one question.
Yes.
Only because, and this was something that I just realized, so parcel B,
Yes.
since it has to be annexed, they have two separate addresses, so and B is technically the same parcel as the main building. So will everything just all be under that Fairmont address, or will it be under Bruckman?
The G address right now is 2040 Fairmount, and the main address is 2120.
So I guess that's an administrative thing that you.
And that would also be coordinated with Public Works as well.
So basically G would be absorbed by B for in simplistic.
So the question is, do you want, B has the same address as the main facility? Do you want it as a separate address, which is G, we have that, we have two options. We could either make it part of B, which is the overall property, or make it the address G, which will have a separate.
Yeah, so it'll essentially be, this building will have its own separate parcel address, or just incorporate G into the overall and it all has one address.
We'll review that. I don't think Mike can make the decision tonight.
It might be best also to talk to not only Public Works, who would have the ultimate say on what the address is, but also fire and rescue.
Okay, I'm leaning toward having a separate address,
Makes sense.
but I want to make sure that that's the proper procedure.
Because then when someone, if there is an emergency to be reported, they can use the address of the building and then everyone can get to it.
Correct.
Yeah, I think.
Okay, thank you.
My suspicion would be that fire and rescue would want it to be a separate address from the main building.
One thing I would make a recommendation on, we did absorb this as a preliminary / final plan application. Didn't know how involved this was going to be. I would suggest that the applicant's willing that we break this up as a preliminary, then go to final.
Are you willing to approve the preliminary tonight?
I'm thinking along that route.
Then I have no objection to that.
Tim, would you, Tim and I talked about this briefly today. Would you have any objections if we broke this up as a preliminary and a final?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to the final then. I mean, we've got NPDS permit, we've got planning modules, properties that are going to be coordinated. We have a council has to approve. Well, I guess, yeah, we have to do the vacation of the alley. That leaves a lot for the, for the final.
That's why I'm thinking it's gonna take a while and we're
Yeah.
just gonna have to keep on pushing this up. It's my preference that we do the preliminary plan approval, then.
I
break it
agree,
off.
splitting it is a good idea.
Are you okay with preliminary this evening? Tim?
I'm a little reluctant. I think because with preliminary, you pretty much have all your engineering completed. And I don't know that since it's NPDS, we don't really know if the stormwater is where it needs to be engineering wise. And
Yeah, but
again,
if you make it a condition, if we don't meet the condition, then the approval becomes null and void.
Yeah.
So, but I think the approval will help also facilitate getting us the vacation of the alley process moving through with council as well.
Yeah,
You're
I
not
think.
looking at doing either. Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, no, I was going to say too, I think maybe even more so as far as getting your agreement with the other owner of the parcel and how that, and I'm not sure exactly how, because I missed a lot of the sketch plan on this and how that's going to transact. Is that a done deal? The absorption of that piece?
Which one do you mean with the adjoiner?
615 Easters.
Yes.
The small part down there, I think you've had some dialogue with him, but I'm not sure exactly what the final outcome of that was. So we can double check on that.
Because my understanding is that, and if Emily can swing over to the right, which parcel is that? G or whatever? All the way over to
No,
the building.
G, 1 second.
Parking's B.
Yeah, that one. Is it G?
That's G.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's a different owner, correct?
No, it's the same owner. B and G are owned by the same entity. It's just a per part.
Oh, okay.
Separated by a paper
I
alley,
see.
basically.
Yeah, right. Oh, okay. No, I thought there was another owner in there. Okay, so it's all owned by the same entity. Okay, well
Yes.
that makes it easier. Right, so when that vacates, actually the only piece that would be 615 Heasters. It's a little tiny piece down there that will transfer over to that property. You can see that at the bottom. Everything else then would
Correct.
go to the owner.
Yes. It makes it a lot cleaner, obviously. And then with a
Right.
common deed, that'll clean up that area.
Yeah, nothing jumped out at me. There's a lot of new driveways. There's a lot of impervious area, but it looks like it's pretty well put together. The survey is correct. Belmont Avenue over there on the other part is in fact a city street, which kind of surprised me. I don't know, Emily, if you can flip over there, I can show the commissioners
That
what I'm
is-
talking about. It's a little interesting. I'm not sure why it's that way, but it is, if you want to scroll down.
It probably shows up better in the composite.
I think it
plan.
does. Yeah, you want to zoom in on the composite? You see where it says Belmont Avenue over there?
Oh, that little piece there.
That little
Yeah,
piece.
so
Yeah, that's a tiny
it-
piece of
it's
Belmont
right-
Avenue.
right there.
Yeah, and it actually is a city street. And we
that little
prefer not,
stub.
yeah, a little stub there. I would prefer it would not go away because it's on our liquid fuel tax map. I'd lose funding for it. So I guess if you're agreeable to keep it that way, we'll just keep it that way and you'll use it the way it's shown. I can't guarantee that we'll plow that. I don't know if they do that now or not. I would imagine that Mitsubishi plows it.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if this item was taken care of as part of the zoning hearing board or not, but the intersection of the proposed driveway at Belmont, since we're talking about the Belmont, it's 29.62 feet away from the intersection at
Alton,
Ball. And the requirement of the zoning is 50 feet. We need a variance for that one?
I want to say that everything that was needed was all encompassing, but I can double check just to
Yeah,
verify.
I would double check that as well.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it was one of those, they asked for specific and also any other. You have Mark Tuck, right?
Yes,
He's usually very thorough and says, and also anything else.
yes.
You see that one, Tim?
yeah, I do. Yeah, it's a little close to the intersection.
I'll verify though.
Okay, yeah, one of the reasons why the issue is that there's a grade difference between the top and where Belmont is. So there's like an 8-foot difference, and to make sure that the facility worked with a loading dock and an on-grade access on the upper street, it was tight to get it to work, and that's why the driveway has to be located in that lower corner.
That's what I was thinking about this afternoon, Tim, when I was talking to you about the loading dock location
Yeah,
on this site, and I forgot to mention about the proximity of the driveway to Walton.
right. It's yeah, it's a zoning issue. So I think the answer to the question is if it's going to go ahead, if it's going to go through, it would need a variance.
Emily will check. on that.
I'll verify.
Okay, please.
And I think Will and I are, and I'm sure Nelson also is glad to see the sidewalks on Alton and Fairmont to make it safe for people who are going from the main building to the ancillary building. That was a big concern at sketch plan, and I think this design takes care of that.
We actually had a field meeting with Jerome and the engineer to go over to look at that, and that everyone was in agreement with this.
Yeah, I think that takes care of all of our concerns, and also doesn't require you to do anything to Belmont, since Belmont is really weird how that street is.
The width was hard to determine on that, because we had different conflicting information that ended up, it is that wide, so.
Yeah, I could believe it. I drove down on Saturday and taking a look at it again, going, this is a mess.
Are you looking, if the commission would grant you preliminary, are you looking at doing any earth moving or we wait till final?
Wait till final.
I think the only question about granting preliminary, did you file for your MPDS permit?
That's going in this week.
It's going in this week.
Yeah, it's actually going in probably tomorrow.
Okay.
We just needed some signatures from an executive at so we have
Okay,
all that.
so all the preliminary stuff's done, so. So I think we have,
It'll still be these conditions that they have to.
yes, yeah. We always look forward, we always look to see that the your preliminary paperwork for, conservation district and PDES permit and any PennDOT stuff, that your preliminary stuff has been submitted.
They got two big issues to cross as far as, it will take 3 years. Got the MPDS permit, you got the planning module, and then you got the street vacation or the alley vacation. So those will all be time consuming, and that's where, I would prefer to have the preliminary plan considered first.
And as I mentioned, as long as you've done your initial submissions, or at least have the paperwork ready to go, I think.
So I imagine we're not gonna see it for 6 months.
No. But I was going to say, well, luckily I can report we don't have any PennDOT, so that we may be able to do it in less than 6 months. So, yes. Is there any other questions? I have Lee Olson here, who is the architect for the building. I think we did provide architectural renderings for that to give you an idea of what the building will look like. I think Lee, if you want.
There's really not much to it. I mean, it's a very simple, straightforward industrial building. We met with the owners to sort of get a handle on what they would prefer. Basically, a fluted block exterior up to a certain point around the perimeter, and then just the industrial insulated panels up to the roof. We've got a clear operating height inside the building of 20 feet all around, and then we've got 5 foot between that and the other side of bottom ports of choice for all of the running of ductwork and piping and also lighting. So it's a fairly high building to enclose the process that they have there. We have incorporated some windows on the southern elevation and on the east and west sides, just to get some natural light in. It's a very simple, straightforward utilitarian building, and it works.
Mike, did you have any questions? Okay.
Any questions from the commissioners?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Nelson. Do you have anything, Will?
No, thank you.
No? Okay, great. Well, with that, I ask for a motion to approve the preliminary land development plan for the Mitsubishi Chemical Plant at 2120 Fairmont Avenue. Danny? Second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Nelson. Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, we are in agreement. And that way, you can go
Yes,
ahead.
I appreciate it. I was not expecting that this evening.
I meant to call you again, and
It's a
also,
pleasant surprise.
yeah, I briefly discussed it with Tim, but it makes it a little bit easier considering the time constraints you're gonna be hitting, and it's no reflection of anyone involved with the project. It's gonna take some time.
All right,
Thank you
all
very
right, thank you very much.
Yep, but once again, we do thank you for coming today and also for bringing in those sketch plans so we could talk over those sidewalks and all of that. So that when you did hit your site meeting, it went, was pretty straightforward.
I find the sketch plan process very helpful from multiple levels, especially if you submit a formal sketch and we get zoning comments back, which is also very good to make sure if there's anything that we missed, that we can get it taken care of. So, all right. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have, wow, finally, our land review plan for tonight. We have the 138 South K Street annexation land development plan. This is a preliminary final plan, and I believe this is the first time we're looking at it. I've actually seen this. Oh, we have.
as a conditional use application.
Oh, okay. Okay, very good. Well, I'll hand it over to Jerome for the update.
Yeah, this project is an annexation and land development plan. It's located at 132, 130, yes, 138 South 8th Street. And as I mentioned, it was approved as a conditional use application, which involved the expansion of it going from 3 apartment units to 6 apartment units. They have parking facilities and other things. I don't think there's anyone here representing the applicant.
Is Corey here for the applicant? Can't remember if he's on that plan or not.
Is anyone here from the applicant on this project? Who's Corey?
Don't quite remember.
I had coordinated with Joan London earlier about this, about the planning module, about sewer approval. But I don't think
Yeah.
Joan is on the call.
Yeah, okay.
I did talk to Ludgate Engineering, and they were going to be resubmitting a plan to address these issues. A lot of them are stormwater management related, as well as some site accessibility. Site accessibility issues are relatively minor, as well as the stormwater. But the volume of comments are, I mean, nothing that should have scared the applicant away. It's just a matter of making sure everything's addressed. It's up to you. I mean, there's said it's tedious, but it's required. And I think that they're fixing the plan accordingly. I gave them till the 12th to resolve the issues before they resubmit it. So a resubmitted plan will narrow the comments down significantly.
Yeah, so we'll see this in February.
More than likely, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because it's,
I don't think we have a county review.
Yes.
We do.
Your letters. That's all just each one.
oh, okay, great. Then, great, I think maybe we'll just table this, for tonight and, we'll take a closer look at it, next month, once the new, Ludgate resubmits the plan. Okay, very good. Do I hear a motion to table, 138 South 8th Street? Danny, second? I'll second that. Get my name on the old ones. All those in favor of tabling 138 South 8th Street, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, very good. Okay, now, we are now up to old business and project updates. I'll turn it over to Jerome.
Yeah, the first one is the Albright Exeter Hall, a land development plan, which you reviewed and approved a couple of years ago. It has now been, all the improvements have been completed. And as part of that, the improvements being completed, they have requested release of their escrow amount. There is still some outstanding issues that they need to resolve, just a few minor things. And then the project goes into maintenance, which means for the next 18 months, we monitor the project to ensure that everything still works. Basically an insurance policy. So the applicant has requested $925,333.83 back, in which we agreed to in writing, and then that we retain $178,000, or they would repay us $178,195.82 for items to resolve inspection fees, review fees for the plan. The maintenance is going to be 15% of the construction cost, which is $120,695.71. And then also for future inspections. So the $178,195.82 would then be provided to us. So we wanted to make sure that Planning Commission was aware of this and did they make a recommendation?
They made a recommendation for the release previously. We just wanted to make sure that everybody was agreeable with the numbers and what. I need a maintenance bond or holding that amount of the escrow. and or pay or escrow separately any other outstanding potential inspection fees. So we just want to make sure all of our numbers are correct before we send the final letter back. I sent a letter outlining this. I don't know.
Yeah, so what it was, they were released a certain amount. However, part of the amount that was retained in that letter of credit also included, some reviews and other escrows. They paid those separately, so they just wanted then that amount also released.
So if you can give me that final amount, I can draft a letter saying we now release this amount and are retaining this amount.
Yeah,
And you may have sent it to me
I
before.
sent it, yeah, it was the one about those 2 checks that we received. I can send that to you.
So as long as we're retaining, so should we be retaining in total 178?
Well, 100, that all depends upon what checks they had written. And I provided in the email to you on January 17th, the breakdown of what the 178,195.82 entails. And that was for site inspections that were previously done. Review fees that were owed as part of the plan itself. The inspection fees, the 15% of the construction cost for maintenance, that would be the biggest item. And
These were the
future
amounts.
inspections,
So if you can tell me the amount we should be withholding.
they paid 19,
So they paid the 14,
160.
160, 15, for professional reviews and the 21,695 for the for inspections.
I thought my letter was clear that if these are paid, we'll release this much.
The bank wants clarification and verification. I mean, she said it can come from my email, like as long as it comes from a city. So I can, if it's okay, I can just send her an email, be like, yeah, that's fine.
That's fine. It's Jerome's, I think, has his calculator, he's gonna give us a final number that we should be retaining. But they've been going back and forth. I'm like, just let's put it on the PC agenda so they know what's going on, and if anybody disagrees with what we're doing.
I thought it was pretty straightforward, but I was like, I'm not gonna make that call.
Oh, okay. So we were at 1.
Yeah, I thought it was too, and
Yeah,
Well, and the checks that they had written was the 14,000,
14,160 and 15 cents,
and then the other one was
21,695.
so it's now down to 142,000.
Yep.
340.67 cents.
that's what we need to retain.
142, 340.67. I'll double check that. One quick check.
So I can just respond to the person at the bank and say that this was the this was the amount that was agreed.
And then we need to retain.
Yep.
Yep.
And then I signed off so they can get their,
That is correct.
is that correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, that-
Signed that last.
yeah, that's the thing, they were already approved whatever that amount was, and then I guess they, meaning Albright, went to the bank and said, oh no, we paid these separately. And so then the bank wanted to verify with us, and I was like, I'm not making that call, so I'll just send them an email saying, yes, this is the correct amount, and then that way it'll be taken care of.
Okay. And we just double checked it, so that's,
Okay.
So it's 142, 340, 67.
yes.
So you're gonna take care of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll send the email right after this meeting.
Okay.
City home district access.
Okay. So here, next we have City Hall pedestrian access. 119 to 127 North 8th Street.
Yeah, Dan Lonslayer's here. He has a client, that is. They have the possibility of could be having. Next to the north side of City Hall, as you may or may not know, is cut off from, if you want to get from Cedar to North 8th Street. Can't be done unless you go around the entire block. Either way. Dan has, his client is possibly looking at opening the area that would be along City Hall to provide a pedestrian access. Dan, are you here?
You're muted, Dan.
Piece of weight. I saw that.
I know I should have.
So he wants to demo what's back, or what's back there?
Kate. And not sure about the other physical constraints. Dan, are you still there?
I think he was falling asleep.
Which one is Dan?
Barbara's like,
Oh. Guess we can come back to this.
Yeah, sure. Okay, next up, we have active plans requiring reaffirmation. First one is Abilities in Motion Land Development Plan at 6755 Easters Lane. Anything special about this?
No, it was approved. They just ran out of time. Get reporting.
Okay, very good. Do I hear a motion to reaffirm the plan for Abilities in Motion Land Development Plan at 755 Easters Lane?
I'll move it.
So move. Second.
Okay, I'll take Will and Nelson this time. Okay, so Will made the motion, Nelson made the second. Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
Aye.
opposed? Yes. Then the second one is our favorite. Iglesia Pentecostal Church Land Development Plan at 1125 Schuylkill Avenue. Do I hear a motion to reaffirm?
So let me give you some background. The plan was previously approved by the planning commission. They did run out of time. There is a municipal improvements agreement that's part of this project for recording, as well as I believe a stormwater management maintenance agreement. This is Dan's project as well.
Tim, I need Tim's comments on the stormwater.
Okay.
Can you circle back, and if you need me to resend those, Tim, can you let me know?
Yeah, which one is that again? The
Iglesia.
the Iglesias? Yeah, did I not comment on that?
I
Yeah,
don't
okay.
think so. I will
Okay.
how about double check?
Yeah, let me look back and I'll get back to you on that then.
Okay.
We did get a few questions just to make sure that the municipal improvements agreement encompass the parking, the striping, as well as directional, some of the signage, directional signage on the plan. So that is included in the municipal improvements agreement.
Okay.
And I just wanted to have Dan on the phone, see if you can verify that for the record, but I know that that's in there.
There it is. Okay, do I hear a motion to reaffirm the land development plan for the Iglesia Pentecostal development at 1125 Schuylkill Avenue? Dan, second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Will.
Yes, can you hear me? I'm sorry.
Oh, hi, Corey.
Hi, I just was
Yeah,
hoping to
go
ask
ahead.
I was just hoping to ask a question
ahead.
on this plan to kind of plant a seed to get some information. I think I've been at these meetings before. I represent the laundromat next door to this property, Mr. Korn. On his property, on the third sheet of the plan, there's going to be a pork chop with a directional sign on top of it. And we're looking for some clarification on the dimensions of that pork chop.
All right, I'm gonna ask it. What's a pork chop?
It's a raised piece of concrete that's it's gonna sit towards the end of the property on the alley to prevent cars from turning right and force them to turn left.
Yeah, Corey, do you know if that's actually concrete or is it just striping? Because you can do a pork chop with paint.
I believe it's indicated on the zoning hearing board approval as being raised concrete, but
Okay. And Dan,
that's what we wanted to clarify, was to get an idea of its exact placement, because on the plan, it seems to be tucked in against my client's building, which wouldn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. It should be out in the driveway some. And also what it's going to be constructed of and what its size is going to be.
So there's actually, and I had gone through it, but I guess I'll have to go through it again, because it's been a couple weeks. This had gone to the zoning hearing board twice. The second time is because they had changed their plans to make an addition onto the church. However, that addition isn't being constructed anymore. And so I have to double check on whether the mention of the pork chop was on the first one or on the second one, on whether or not it applies. I know that about the striping and the signage, it was on both. So that's still relevant, but I'll double check, but if memory serves me right, from when I looked at it about a week or so or two ago, that the pork chop was only mentioned when they were building the addition. But I can double check to verify those decision letters.
Okay, it is still indicated on the plans that you folks have before you, so I don't know. Other than that, I don't have anything else.
yeah, I'm seeing it. I think it is still there, but I don't know that it's defined. And if we can't get Dan on the line, I kind of thought it was painted, but you're right. I can't really tell exactly from the way it is drawn, if it's paint or if it's concrete or if it's raised.
Yeah, and it was always.
Check, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, it was always our understanding that it was going to be some kind of raised concrete. And I understood at the time that the way it's depicted on the plan was almost as a placeholder. They were referring to the distance marker there as the location of the pork chop, but the exact location was never really expressed on any plan. So that we're just looking for some clarification on that.
I'll double check in the decision if it mentioned, because if it mentions pork chop and specifically if it has to be concrete or what the specifications were in the decision letters.
Emily, can I share my screen, Emily?
Yep, go ahead.
All right. Just make sure that it is what I think you're talking about. And I think you're talking about this little thing here.
Hold on, let me make this bigger because my eyes are not good enough to see what you're looking at.
I kind of zoomed in, but I don't want to zoom in too much so that way you can't. So here's the whole thing. That's Luzerne over here. Schuylkill Avenue's on the other side of the church. And this area up here is the laundromat.
Correct, and yes.
So I think it's this little thing up over here.
Correct.
I don't think we ever brought it up. Let me see who's calling. Hello, this is Tim. I got Dan on the line.
Oh, good, you can translate.
I didn't know how to get through.
I got Dan on my cell phone. So so Dan, we're looking at the pork chop. on the side where the laundromat is, and we're trying to figure out the purpose of the pork chop.
I think that, I think we could remove that. Because the pastor and the owner of the land have put a gate across there and actually closed it off. So the whole purpose is to have the people use the alley and go around the church or out to Luzerne Street when it's built.
So if, I don't know if Corey heard that or not, but if it makes more sense to the owner to remove it, I don't know that the city has any particular preference, as long as the two owners are happy.
That's why I stuck that loading zone in the alley to stop it. And apparently, from talking to the pastor, the people are using the alley now rather than cutting through there, which was what the laundromat folks wanted, to cut that public access off of there.
I can check with Mr. Corn and talk to him about his thoughts on eliminating the pork chop, but our questions were derived from our understanding that the requirement for the pork chop was still built into the zoning decision. So that's why we wanted to know where it was going to be placed. But if we're eliminating it, that's a different question that I need to ask. And since this is going to be, an extension is going to be granted anywhere, requested and granted, I think it was already granted by vote, we can address it at the next meeting if that's the route we're going to take.
Dan, was the pork chop included within the municipal improvements agreement?
Sorry, Tim, you're gonna have to unmute yourself. I have to mute you because there's some interference.
I'm sorry, is Dan coming over the computer now?
No.
No, okay. So I guess what we want to consider this later, grant the extension and resolve this detail.
Yes.
Okay,
I think
sounds like an.
if someone could amend that motion to reaffirm with that the pork chop issue is resolved. I'm sorry. I'm ignorant.
So I'll have to go back to Dan. Is that okay? Yes. And Will, is that okay with you?
Yes.
Okay, great. Because we can let the professionals handle this. This is not.
I think this is up there. This is more to.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, the staff can decide if it can be there or not. I don't think the planning commission really cares as long as the owner of the laundromat is happy.
And the plan accurately reflects what's there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, very good. So with that, that was all question on the motion, let's say. So, with that, all those in favor of reaffirming the church plan, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, very good. And we will let Tim and Dan and Emily figure this one out.
Thank you, folks.
Okay, thanks for joining us, Corey.
Absolutely, I appreciate it.
Looks here like there are no active plans requiring time extensions.
Oh, we still have,
Got two more. You get the update.
No, I didn't get the update.
it was posted on.
All right, yeah, for some reason
They were added since the end of last week.
yeah, and I thought I received the update, but I certainly couldn't find it in my email, but that doesn't mean anything. All right, so next is reaffirmation of 408 North 9th Street. Annexation and land development plan. 408 North 9th Street.
It's the one that, it's a commercial residential property on North Ninth that they are annexing the 2 parcels along Buttonwood for their parking.
That
Oh.
It was pending my review of the parking facilities. They get me revised plans. They comply with zoning. And so in order to send out for signatures, we need pre-application.
Great. So, do I hear a motion to approve the reaffirmation of 408 North Ninth Street?
So move.
Okay, Nelson, second? Danny?
Second.
Be finishing one line, I'll see you guys next month.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Second,
Who did the,
I know it was Nelson.
Nelson was first. Danny second.
And second.
Alright. Yeah. Very good. Next one is the annexation and land development plan for 322 Walnut Street. This is the
Hold all of it.
they had parking in the back, with improvements and that was tied into the building permit.
okay. This is
They switched owners, and so now the new owner's trying to get everything squared away, so we need reaffirmation.
very good. All right, do I hear a motion to reaffirm 320, the land development plan for 322 Walnut Street? Danny? Second? Here, I'll do that. Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? And the last one,
So that one's not an affirmation,
okay,
that's just, we've received the letter.
Yes, this is a letter from the Reading Public Works. Maybe this is for Tim. It's for a water quality management part 2 permit. And I'm thinking they're looking for our support. The letter is from NTEC. Tim, are you aware of this by chance?
No, I'm not.
For
Did
the
we get-
19th Ward pumping station.
It's for the 19th, yeah, thanks.
Okay.
The 19th Ward Station, and it's
Oh, okay.
they're seeking for the permit, for the water quality management permit, the part 2 permit.
Yeah.
I think they're looking for planning commission endorsement.
Yeah, I wasn't briefed on that. I've been working with them on the other various parts of this rebuilding of the 19th Ward pump station. Right now, we have a 19th Ward pump station, but it's in need of upgrading, and they made the decision that in fact it's actually in need of replacement.
Oh.
So they're in the
we
process
go.
of making plans to actually replace it and build a new one right next to it with more capacity. So I'm not aware of it, but I'm certainly in favor of that being approved.
Okay, in one of the concluding paragraphs, it says you are invited to comment on the information and identify land use concerns or issues related to the project. Please be specific on your comments. And again, this is from NTEC, so it's providing the planning commission with the opportunity to comment on the 19th Ward pump station.
and where is this pump station, Tim?
Yeah, it's located north, well, actually it's within Stone Cliff Park, but it's north of the skate park. So if you might
Give it your address of
remember, yeah,
Give an address of Monroe Street.
yeah, Monroe
Monroe
Street.
Street?
Yes. It's it's between Montgomery and Monroe Street. If I can share my screen again, I could probably pull this up real quick.
Go ahead.
I think it's visible from Route 12, if I'm not mistaken.
Pretty much, yeah. So let me just move some things around here so I can see. So, here, I'll back
Is
off
it
a
owned by
little.
the city or the water authority?
It's actually, the piece of property that the current 19th Ward pump station is at is by easement. It's currently owned by the county. It's part of it's within the park. So here's
Because
the
the county
Schuylkill
owns the
River.
park.
Yes, right. So here's that Route 12 over here. We've got Orange Street bypass. We've got Columbia Street here. We have the Stone Cliff Skate Park. And as you move further north along the trail, you come up to Monroe and Montgomery Street. Montgomery Street is down along the creek, Hoboken Creek. And if some of the planning commissions may remember, Wayne will remember, that we did some land development work on this in a few years ago. And the only way to get to these properties on Montgomery Street is to come through Monroe Street on the south side of Route 12, come through the parking lot, down this driveway, and then under the overpass to get to these properties. It's just an interesting thing here. And the pump station you pass along the way, that's the pump station. That's the current pump station. Can everyone see that? Yeah, okay. And the new pump station is going to be here just up the hill. And right now Public Works is coordinating with the county to make that happen, to acquire this property or to get an easement in order to make that work.
Does any of the commissioners have questions or comments concerning this?
If you would like to see a better presentation than what I just gave you, which was kind of off the cuff, I can have the representative who's actually, no, I'm not the project manager on this one. That's Deb Hogue. She's our division manager for environmental and engineering there. And she could present that, or somebody from NTEC could give you a little more detail on what's happening there.
Okay, could they come in for the workshop meeting? Could that come in for the workshop?
I can request it, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm checking with this, there's a deadline.
30 days from the date of receipt. Well, we received it. When did I send you that?
This meeting's not gonna be.
Yeah, okay. So I guess what we need to do is make a motion that you draft a letter to.
I think they were just asking if you have any comments.
Yeah.
If you have no comments, then there's no comments.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we really have any comments. I think we fully.
We received it the 23rd, so technically.
Yeah.
That's when I got it in the office. It says 30 days.
Still
From date of receipt.
Yeah.
Our next meeting's 27th. 27th.
I mean, when's the workshop
The
meeting?
workshop is
20th.
It's the 20th. 2/20.
You can always reaffirm any comments at the meeting.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't think I need to, I think it's. Well, but I think it would be good if Deb comes in anyway, so that we can talk about, we can also talk a little bit about, planning modules process and that kind of stuff. Sure. Since she handles that, I think that would be a good idea.
Do you want her in
And-
person or?
She does by Zoom.
Yeah, just
You
by
okay?
Zoom if she wants to.
Yeah, if you're good with Zoom. Yeah, because I'd like to be on that workshop meeting too, to discuss a little bit about our proposed stormwater management ordinance, all this stuff about de minimis areas and stuff. Now we're going to make it real. So I'd like to do that at the workshop too.
Yeah, I think that would be great. That we'll have Deb and Tim and us. I think that'll work out great.
Good.
Okay, fantastic. Okay.
There may be 3 issues, but we'll find out.
Yeah, but
So,
Right.
Mr. Chairman, this is Will, should we, because we can't vote at the workshop, should we approve the letter now?
I think the discussion was she can make the presentation at the workshop. We can have a straw vote, and then we can actually make the official vote at the piece.
And that's what you were saying, I couldn't hear it, that in other words, the reaffirmation at the ratification, I guess we should say, at the regular meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. If we
That
decided.
makes sense. Do it informally. That way we would have any comments that we might, if we understand the project better at that point. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
All right, what do we have next?
Were we supposed to come back to the city hall sidewalk with Dan on the?
There. Yep. Oh, yeah, there's all, yeah, there
Can
we
you
go.
hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
This thing, it cut me out and I had to answer a question. I didn't see it. So, yeah, we can discuss that. My client would be very happy if we can discuss that.
Yeah, we're now talking about the property to the north side of City Hall, which provides possible pedestrian access from North 8th Street. Which street?
Yeah.
Cedar.
Emily, I have that drawing if you want me to share that.
Yes, please.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Let me pull it up. Well, let's see here. I did have it. Now I can't find it. Just a minute. Huh. For some reason, it's not giving it to me. Here we go. How about that?
Thank you.
Does that look right, Dan?
Yeah, I gotta get, yes. If you look on the plan, there's a opening on 8th Street that is on my client's property, and there's a door there that is kind of wired shut right now. He's in the process of looking at rehabbing that building. And then as you go back through, when the city built the new, I guess you would call it the annex, they left an opening between his property and their property. And there are 2 gates that are locked that shut up over to his, what would be called that existing warehouse area. And they prevent access from my clients going into that area. And the other gate exits into the parking lot behind the City Hall annex. What he'd like to do is be able to open up those gates so that his apartment dwellers can utilize the parking lot in the back without going all the way around the block like Jerome was talking. And Jerome was saying that it would be nice for people at City Hall to be able to use that access through to 8th Street rather than walking around the block. It requires, I would say, an easement because part of the passageway is all on his property and part of the access is all on the city's property. But with the current electronic devices that you can use to open gates and allow access, I think something could be done that would be beneficial to both parties.
So who is he desiring to have access to that? Anyone or city employees or?
His tenants and his tenants.
Well, he was hoping that was on his property, and he was disappointed because it's not. And but part of it is on his property, and it allows access to the rear of the apartment building so that the people can come and go. but to get to the parking lot is very difficult unless you'd open up access through the warehouse. And I think, as Jerome says, people parking in that parking lot trying to get to the 8th Street to come to the city hall for meetings at night, you got to walk all the way around the block rather than a shortcut through.
Yeah, it seems like the way the property line is, it's on his client's property for a portion, then it's on the city's property for a portion.
I would just want to confirm that there was no reason that was gated off. That there's no security reasons or anything like that.
Looking through the gates are locked, so you can't get in there. But the only thing that would impede traffic, it looks like there's a unit for an air conditioner that would have to be relocated and probably put vertical if it's possible. But that would have to be looked at. Otherwise, it's just for some reason when they built the building, they allowed access for either maintenance or something, and they formally locked it off with very nice aluminum gates.
Is that AC unit for the city hall or is that for his property?
No, I believe that's the city's unit.
That could be an issue.
That would just be a conversation with our facilities.
And possibly the police.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the police would have to look at this too. It's 130 feet in length.
Good point. Then they would have to light it.
That's what
Because police parking back there, I just have a security concern.
Yeah, if it does go through and if it is acceptable, we would have to have some sort of an easement. Anytime we have a public access on private property, we've needed a signed easement. We've done this, but this is a little trickier.
I would like to know why it was gated.
Yeah,
It was
that's a good question.
secured that
Yeah, like I said, it meanders. It's on his client's property, then it's on the city hall property. They're only 30 inches wide. Is that correct, Dan?
Yeah, that's about it. I think up by his apartment building, it gets a little wider, but when it's back by the warehouse, yeah, it's probably about 30 inches wide.
And there's also the question if we have to relocate that air conditioning unit. Who's gonna have that expense?
I looked back through the deeds. I was hoping maybe that there would be an old easement through there that was being preserved, but looking at the city hall's deed, that wasn't the case. That it was that channel was never in existence prior to the new annex building.
Yeah, there's a lot of departments there.
So I've been to the site both inside the building and in that parking lot area, and I would venture to guess that back when they put in those gates, it probably wasn't an issue because that back warehouse area was being utilized, so that you could go through that building, but that building it needs to be rehabbed or demoed or something. It's in bad condition. It's not really something you'd want people walking through. Like there's portions of the floor that are broken through.
Dan's client of warehouse.
It's all on one lot. It's a building and then it's basically two buildings on that one lot.
Dan, what Emily's saying is the condition of the warehouse. So maybe as we go through this discussion is what is the plan for the warehouse?
Well, they have just recently purchased it. That's why I did the survey, and they're planning on rehabbing it.
Okay.
Yeah, and do they want to rehab it for storage or for apartments?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. They're worried, but I think access, they're looking at access for the apartments in the front part of the building. And looking at, I think retaining the warehouse in the back. They have a small construction company, I believe, so I think they might want to operate out of the warehouse.
I don't know who wants to coordinate having this discussion with the other departments.
What departments? Facilities, police.
Our police and
Probably the NB's office is gonna have to at least be clued in, managing director, at least clued in.
does this have to be site accessible for everybody?
That's,
That was a question that was going through my mind too. Does it need to be ADA?
that's why I said, who are you desirous of having accessibility?
Well, yeah, I'm assuming the applicant would just, for his tenants in that building.
I believe that would be his, but it would open it up, and I think the city could allow certain people to have access. If you have the right card thing, you could allow or deny access on it. I think it's open for this discussion on how best to handle it, if it's even possible. My client would like to, in some fashion, make it possible.
Only certain people are allowed to park in the Sally Port anyway, so.
I think a building and trades law.
That's a good idea too.
Dan, would this allow the use, this or reuse of the warehouse? Is this going to help with the reuse? Because I'm not sure that this is going to be all that of a concern with the city. It seems like maybe it's more of a concern for the owner to have this.
Well, I would imagine he doesn't want the tenants going through the warehouse and trying to make a corridor through the warehouse when you already have this open corridor in existence.
Mm-hmm.
That's
you
what
believe and you believe the city gated it off?
I
Those are
believe
city
so.
gates.
Yeah. Because the
How are the
property
tenants
line
getting
runs right up, but
How are the tenants getting access
the
now?
property line runs. Go ahead.
How are the tenants getting access now?
I'm not sure if, I think there's tenants on the first floor. I'm not sure if there's any tenants now. I think the building, I think as Emily was saying, the building was in pretty bad shape and it needs to be worked on.
Yeah, so of the 4 apartments that are in there, so on the first floor, there's a retail space, and then there's the Mexican restaurant. Then on the second and third floors, there's 2 apartments on each floor. Only 1 apartment of those 4 had an occupant when I went in for an inspection a couple months ago.
How are they getting access?
I'm assuming they either don't have a vehicle or they're walking around. That parking lot in the back, isn't really being used. And I spoke with the owner, he does need to repave that parking lot, because it's all gravel right now, and there's a permit that used to be paved. So either they don't have a vehicle, or they've just been kind of making do and walking around.
Is there a way to gate it further up to protect the city interest and still let them have access?
I didn't check on the side of the building, my focus was mostly on the inside.
Dan, is there a way to move the gate and still protect the city interest, but let their tenants have access?
I'm not sure. If you could leave the one gate at the east end, and if you left that one in place, he could possibly put a walkway through the eastern end of the warehouse there to go to his door to the parking lot, and then that would only be removing the one gate and relocating the air conditioning. He'd rather not do that because that gets into the steps and locations of different things inside that building. He'd prefer to be able to go through and then be able to walk through the city parking lot.
Looks like both gates are on the city property.
Oh, okay, there's a picture, okay.
I can go and take pictures tomorrow during the day. Just to have a better look at what it looks like.
Is this
So
the
that's
opening?
entrance to the warehouse.
No,
This-
that's the back of his building, and that's the doorway into the warehouse.
So where would the path be?
You have to be able to get to the other side of that property that's on the left there.
This property?
Yeah, that's a little, that was sold, and they're behind that ambulance, go down through behind see that wall there? If you keep going down that wall,
In here?
yeah, that's the wall, the walkway in there. And there's a gate right there at the edge of the building.
And there's another gate further down, and they're both on city property. Yeah, this is.
Right through here.
Yeah, I think the commission needs to have more information and the other players in the city need to have
I explored it once or twice in the
in the dark.
in the dark, but yeah, you are kind of.
That red door there, that is his entrance into the walkway next to the city's annex building there. And that gate is entirely on his property. And so that's the exit onto 8th Street is on his property, and then the exit to Cedar Street would be on the city property.
I'll take pictures in the daylight. So.
It's gonna be dark, take a flashlight.
Yeah, I propose that the applicant and the city, all the relevant city representatives, meet for a site visit between now and the next planning meeting.
That would be helpful.
Great.
So
Okay,
Dan, the apartments are up here, right?
Yes.
And the two commercials are down here. All right.
Yeah, so there is some tenants in the building. It's not an abandoned building. The warehouse is in pretty sad shape in certain locations.
Mhm. Back here.
all right, very good. Well, Emily will begin coordination of this project and we'll see what happens next month. Okay, announcements, reports, and other planning commission business. Here, I don't have anything, and Peter's not here.
Phase 2
Well-
zoning.
Oh, yeah, the phase 2 zoning, that's right. Okay,
We received comments back from the Berks County Planning Commission on the three facets, the three components of these amendments. The amendments would be for adaptive reuse, comprehensive revisions for that in the zoning. The part 16, which is off-street parking and loading of the zoning, and then also subdivision and land development provisions that would be relevant to parking and loading. County pretty much discussed the exact same issues we discussed in the past. And there were no really further need for any revisions.
okay,
We did receive, as a side note, the consultant that's doing the TOD overlay district did provide us with for the definition of adaptive reuse to add in permitted uses. Simple adjustment. But this is ready to be made as a recommendation to city council. Just to let you know, city council has still not taken any action on the phase 1 amendments. So these are the phase two amendments and we briefly spoke to Jamal about what we have in mind as far as how this is going to be presented to city council, and it was his initial thoughts that we might want to merge two together.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
So, but you already made a recommendation on phase one amendments. If we do that, I'd like you to see what the end thing looks like, because, and I'm, since this is not on city council's agenda yet, let's take a recommendation on just phase two amendments and then we'll merge it.
Okay. Very good. So, I guess we'll do these separately, Michelle.
You could do the two, you could do the zoning together and land subdivision and land development separately.
Okay, so. All right, so let's do this one.
Yeah, I looked through everything, Mr. Chair. They look good.
Okay, great. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to go through them again, but if Will went through them, then I'm sure they are fine. Do I hear a motion to make a recommendation to council to amend chapter 515 of the subdivision and land development ordinance with the amendments as presented?
I'll move it.
Dan? All right. Okay. Dan and then Will.
That's all
Okay,
right.
question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And then do I hear a motion to recommend to council to amend chapter 600 of the zoning ordinance of the city of Reading with the amendments and revisions as presented?
So move.
Okay, Nelson? Second?
Second.
Okay. I'll take Will on that one too. Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Oh. Okay, very good. Okay, very good. All right, now we can go on to announcements, reports, and other planning commission business. If we have any.
I serve as counsel to Blighted Property, and we had a meeting January 17th, certify, I think we removed one and certified two, if my memory serves me correctly. Please don't ask me the addresses.
Okay. That agenda's right here.
That's their workshop.
That's the workshop. Okay. Article. Okay. Okay, planning commission annual report for 2023.
I'm sorry, I misspoke. We had 3 people were present. We removed one, certified two, and then there was the consent agenda.
Yeah, we're gonna need the number 20. For the annual report, we're projected to be in front of city council on May 6th. So we will need to make a big effort to approve all meeting minutes for 2023 next month. Okay, that's gotta be a.
I re-forwarded, I don't know, I think you're right. I
Yeah,
re-forwarded, the minutes that Brandy, had gotten done, I think of April through August. if you have any comments or anything like that. And then within the next week or two, I'll have the minutes from September until present.
Okay, very good.
So we gotta make that a priority.
Yeah, we'll make that a priority for next month then.
Okay.
And we'll take a few minutes at the workshop, and see if there's anything that we might want to discuss, but.
We've been in worse shape before.
Oh, oh, hell yeah.
Or under the gun.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so that's the meeting minutes and the annual report kind of together there. So that brings us to our next planning commission meetings. The next one is the workshop, which will be February 20th. And our regular meeting will be February 27th, as long as the IT department cooperates with us. Does anyone have anything for the good of the order? Yeah. I need about when I thought we would, so. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Okay, Danny, second?
Second.
Okay, Nelson? Question on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, very good. We are out of order, thank you.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Good job.
there was a lot.
Yep.
It was a lot,
So,
but
It's a-
as I said to as I said to Jim Boskov and Scott Miller, you wouldn't think with this kind of agenda that the economy is in really bad shape. And that interest rates are high, but what everybody's complaining about, so.
Good evening, everyone. Bye.
Okay, well, thank you.
Good
Have a
night.
night.
Good night.
Stay
Good
warm.
night.